All right, folks, pull up a stump and let's talk elk. Every September, I watch hunters burn up boot leather, chasing yesterday's bugle. Hear one bull at daylight, spend the next 6 hours trying to catch him. And by lunchtime, wondering where all the elk went. Truth is, elk didn't disappear. They just keep doing what elk do. They kept moving. That's the difference between hunters who occasionally get lucky and hunters who consistently find elk. They quit hunting places and start hunting behavior. They stop asking where elk were and start asking where they're headed next. In this episode, we're going to walk you through an elk's entire day, from daylight to dark, show you how to make the right move at the right time. Morning strategy, midday adjustments, and evening setups. When to stay put, when to relocate, and how to keep yourself around elk instead of always one step behind them. So if you're ready to quit chasing elk and start beating them to the punch, let's dive in. That discussion, our listener shout outs. So my friends, pull up a chair, adjust your volumes just right, and welcome to Blue Collar Elk Hunting.
This is my life, country born and raised. When that whistle blows, I'm on the trail, pounding in my head. There's a will, there's a way, there's a way, there's a way.
Welcome to Blue Collar Elk Hunting, brought to you by elkgrows.com, with your host Gilbert Ornelas and elk hunting coach Joe Gilly. You want to hunt elk? They live to hunt elk. Their goal is to share with you what they have learned grinding it out for over 35 seasons, doing what they love. So come on into camp and set a spell. Welcome to Blue Collar Elk Hunters.
Hello there, everyone. If it's your first time with us, glad to have you. Hope you enjoy our show. And as always, for those blue collar hunters following our show and grinding it out with us every week, welcome back to Elk Camp. I'm Gilbert Ornelas, the host of your show, and joining me today, we've got the leader of the Venezuelan Mafia, Mr. Luis Gonzalez, in the house. And our elk hunting coaches, Mr. Jeremy Gilbertson, Randy Foote, and WWWJDD is in the house. We got it teed up and ready to go. Joe, series number 5. How's it going, fellas?
Never been the World Wide Web before. That's pretty cool. You know, I'm gonna have to get that. Hey, man, we've got Jeremy on here. Randy, Luis, how are you guys doing, man?
Fantastic. Oh, good. Just can't stop thinking about September.
Yeah, and everybody knows Luis. He's been on magazines and stuff like that. But Randy is one of our coaches. Jeremy is one of our coaches. Been with us for a while now. Incredible individuals. Jeremy, shoot, man, how many years have you been working already with Elk Bros now?
This will be year 3.
Yeah, year 3, right?
Yep.
That's awesome, man. The only problem is we stick Jeremy with people that we're trying to punish.
Yeah, man, because I can't go. That cat is like around the sun and back before I can make it up a ridge top. I mean, cat's extremely talented.
Definitely sent me on a punishment hike up La Grulla last year. So
yeah.
We got to stick an anchor on that dude's rear end. Man.
What we usually tell our clients is we can't guarantee you will kill an elk, but we can damn sure guarantee you won't. We'll put you in JG and make you go that La Grulla Ridge hike.
I'm just making sure they sleep good when they get back to camp.
I did that La Grulla Ridge every time with my hunters, man. So still do. But I wanted to get T-shirts that said I did La Grulla, and give it to the dudes, man. So
I'm okay without a shirt.
Man.
Yeah,
I earned mine a long time ago. I'm good. I ain't gonna get a new one.
Yeah, but I am surprised. How did you know about the magazines, dude? I mean, that's something I don't tell a lot of people.
Yeah, I have people, they DM us all the time, So
Joe just ran out of toilet paper one day.
Hey, you know what's funny, Joe, that right before the podcast, you were telling me how you were suffering with humidity. And just so you know, it's kind of equivalent to how we suffer with altitude.
Kind of. Yeah.
So imagine that.
Yeah, all I'm saying is, dude, man, you guys say that everybody's taking all the air, and I was down in Chichen Itza and looking at the pyramids and stuff. I mean, man, to stand on that hallowed ground of civilization from thousands of years ago, to just think about the lives and to see the stuff that was moving around you, at another time. I think about that stuff all the time.
How'd they get all them big rocks that high, brother?
Man, it's crazy. Well, I can see that. I can see where Vegas learned how to create buildings, because when you see what's behind some of the stuff, where some of it's, they put all the little stone and little rock, and then, they build it out, and then they put the nice looking facade on that,
Right.
So it was pretty smart. But, the amazing thing was how they lined it up with the sun to create the things that it creates. Like, there's 2 times a year with the solstice. Isn't it the solstice?
You see the snake?
Yeah,
moving?
the snake. Yeah. Just from the shadows, it creates it on the other part of the pyramid. And the snake's head's they put the snake head at the bottom, and then the shadows showed up.
They put the head at the bottom. Yeah, and then the acoustic. But
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy, huh?
Beautiful place.
What a brilliant civilization. But I'm down there, dude, man, and it was like the air was so daggum thick.
Oh man.
That it was like strangling me. It was like suffocating me.
We live under those conditions.
Yeah.
What's that? What
Every
what's
day.
this we live? How long you been here in U.S.?
We do every day.
What do you think it's like in Houston, bro?
Oh my God, it's worse. Worse, dude. Look, I hiked last night, and I went about 3.5 miles. It was just so searing and so heavy. The air you're standing there and just pouring. It's like I jumped in a swimming pool. And I mean, I got my pack on, but I sweat through everything. My socks were wet, I mean, absolutely incredible.
Yeah. I believe it, dude, man. I walked out there and that stuff just starts coming down, man.
Oh yeah. You just sit there and it's like being in a sauna.
It's, for the first time ever, I've lived here in Cimarron 40 years, something like that, and I've never seen it. We had 104 degrees here at the house day before yesterday.
Joe texts me, he goes, Gil, it's 104 here. I said, man, that's blistering, but it's a dry heat. He goes, yeah, but it's hot as hell. I said, yeah, well, it's 104 here with 85% humidity. It's like 117, brother. I said, it's bad.
113 in Denver?
That was in Houston. Katie, base temp.
Base temp.
Oh my God. That's just, that's hell on earth.
I'm telling you, bro. It is. You want to know why I'm a little slimmer in the face? There you go, buddy. I'm out there marching around.
It just melts off, man. Randy, I don't hear nothing from the Arizona boy. He's like, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah, it gets hot as Hades.
117, there's no humidity. I know. It's only 15%. But
well, if you get out there around Lake Powell and there, and there's some humidity around those lakes and stuff.
Well, in Phoenix,
it's monsoon season, so
Phoenix has a false humidity.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting.
False humidity. That's a new one in my books.
Yeah, because so instead of it coming from the rain and everything like that, they have so many swimming pools that it creates the humidity in that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. False humidity.
Listen, I don't know. I've been in some humidity and I don't like it. It sucks. But 120 sucks.
It does.
I'd much rather.
You literally fry an egg.
It don't matter if it's humid or not. It's hot.
You literally can fry an egg on the sidewalk. They've been there, done that.
Jeremy, your mic's off, just so you know, man. So let me ask you this, Randy. Can you really tell a difference between 110 and 120?
For me personally, once it gets to 110, it's just
freaking hot. Right?
After that, it's just hot. Yeah. I know some people say, they can really feel it, but I don't know. I'm also old and grumpy. It used to not bother me, and now I'm ready to get out of it. So, I don't know.
Me and my son were fishing the Trey Kistler benefit tournament here a few weeks ago on Toledo Bend, and it was 106, and it was like we weigh in at like 330. It's 240. We still need one more keeper, and he looked at me and he goes, "Dude," he goes, "Dad, this is brutal, man." He goes, "I'm ready to go." I'm like, "What?" I said, "We need one more keeper." He said, "I don't care. I'm done, man." He said, "This is ruthless, man." He goes, "You're crazy to stay out here this long." I said, "Shit, I was waiting on you to say go." I've been ready for 3 hours.
Oh man.
Oh, so hot, dude.
Well, boys, I really wanted to have you guys here. We're going to be doing a lot more of our coaches coming on like this, contributing, because you guys have so much to give, so much to contribute, and for everybody to meet you. In fact, I'm actually thinking about an episode where it's hosted and done by just our coaches and doing that. I'd really like to see that happen, man. I think that would be a fun one to watch. So
fresh.
Yeah. Yep.
And
just get to watch from the outside. That'd be kind of cool, man. So this is part 5. This is part 5 of our Beginner's Blueprint series. And this is all about our Elk Bros Elk Strategy Playbook. Guys, trying to teach you how to not go where elk have been, but to go where elk want to go, and to give you a plan for that and help you out with some of that, man. So we're going to get ready to jump into that. We've done enough BS like that. We're not doing our Elk Bros mailbox. We are saving the questions, y'all, but we have so much content with this stuff. Just keep the questions coming. That might end up being a show all on its own, all right? So let's rock and roll, Gil.
For real. Guys, you know what time it is. It's time for the Elk Bros shout outs. If you're new to the show, it's shout out or follow to our few cities with the most listeners topping our charts this week, Joe.
Yep, I'm going to start out this week's top listening city proudly calls itself the River Bluff capital of the world. I wonder if anybody's ever tried to say, no, we are. But the River Bluff capital of the world, surrounded by towering limestone bluffs rising over 500 feet above the Mississippi River. The Monarch Public House here traces its roots back to 1894 and proudly claims to be Wisconsin's oldest continuously open tavern. And this is in Fountain City, Wisconsin. Yeah!
Fountain City, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Man, I'd like to see them big bluffs 500 feet up. That's awesome.
Yeah, wouldn't that be pretty cool, man?
I've been on the Mississippi lower, around Cape Girardeau, but I've never been up there around Wisconsin, all that.
You know, that I bet that helps when that thing starts flooding.
Yeah. For sure.
Oh, yep. How high did the river go up down there in your South Texas country?
68 feet above crest.
That's crazy.
Yeah, the highest I've ever seen it was 48 in 2018. When we moved in down there, we got like 17 inches of rain in a couple days, and it was really bad and lots of flooding. But this was crazy. We had 24 inches of rain in 3 days, and
that's crazy.
And they're still getting flood water down towards Corpus Christi. That's where the Nueces runs through, and then the Frio runs there to Tilden, their little Choke Canyon. Choke Canyon's been 30 feet low for the past 3 years, and I don't know if it's full, but it's pretty close.
It's crazy, man. It's a
Canyon
lot
Lake,
of water.
Canyon Lake was damn near dried up, and it's full there in the hill country.
So, Jeremy, you said you've been to Fountain City?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, growing up just over the river in Minnesota, there's a lot of good waterfowling over there.
That's
The
awesome.
whole Mississippi Flyway. We get the first crack at all the ducks coming down from Canada.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
I bet you they like to be in them potholes on that river.
Mm-hmm.
So you like duck, man?
Yeah. You mean eating it?
I just don't. I don't like a liver taste anyway.
That's why you wrap it in bacon.
Yeah.
So
dog turd tastes good in bacon.
and cream cheese.
Yeah. You hang out with enough coon asses, they'll make anything taste good.
Well,
Straight
what
up,
bothers
shout
me,
out to my boy Jacob Goche.
that's the second time, that's the second podcast you said somebody's made a dog turd taste good, man. So I don't know if I'm going to be eating out of your lunch pail.
Bacon and green chili, apparently.
Luis.
All right. Once a manufacturing powerhouse, our next stop listening city is known for one of America's most famous Civil War regiments, the 54th Massachusetts Volunteer Infantry, one of the first officially recognized Black Union regiments immortalized in the movie Glory, trained here in Hyde Park, Massachusetts.
Hyde Park, Mass.
Hyde Park, Mass.
What a great movie that was too, man.
Oh my gosh, phenomenal movie. Glory.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jeremy.
All right, up next, this city was founded before the United States in 1772, 4 years before the Declaration of Independence. Barney Fife himself, Don Knotts, one of television's greatest comedians, was born here in 1924, and there's even a bronze statue of him downtown. This is Morgantown, West Virginia.
Morgantown. Morgantown. You know, I heard they have a college there that will take just about anybody.
They do, the home of the Mountaineers.
I only say that because Luis is.
That college is so good, bro, that I was able to get a degree.
Yeah.
So good.
And look what you've done with it, man.
Definitely.
And you know, here's where, you know, you kind of, I was like, Don Knotts, Barney Fife, yeah. You know, I had Glory there with all, I mean, that is a major historical, you know, that 54th Massachusetts, and what it was just, that is such a cool story, and what, you know, all of that. And then I was like, you know, I look at them, I'm like, Don Knotts!
Yeah.
It's terrible. I don't even know who that is.
I was just going to say,
you never heard
No
of Barney
way.
Fife? Yeah. You got to go look up, man. You got to go look up Don Knotts.
Slap
Barney
your
Fife.
mama.
Yeah, man. Ron Howard. You ever heard of Happy Days? I mean, Ron Howard grew up on the show. Phenomenal director. Phenomenal actor.
So you don't know, you've never seen Mayberry RFD or no. Oh my, with
Andy Griffith is
Andy
the name of the
Griffith,
show.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Andy Griffith. You got to go just go to YouTube it, man, and check out. It's a real wholesome show, man. It really is.
Another fun fact: we burn couches out there for celebration. Just so
They do. They do. That's a fact. That's a fact. If y'all ever want, I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm not proud of watching it, but I watched it. Okay, there is a show on Prime that you can watch called "The Wonderful Lights of West Virginia." Man, whew, what a representation of that state.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, man. The Wonderful Whites of West Virginia. You'll thank me when it's over.
It's horrible.
It's horrible.
Don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
So, Jeremy, you need to quit running so much and spend a day just watching some quality TV, man. We'll get you set up, okay?
Barney Fife's the real deal, man.
VHS now?
Randy.
All right, let's see if Jeremy knows this guy. Our final top listening city gets its name from William Clark of the Lewis and Clark expedition. Before its current name, the settlement was known as Dornix, a stage stop before the railroad arrived. Actor Michael Keaton has long owned a ranch here. Around town, he's less Batman and more that guy that's working fences. Big Timber, Montana.
Big Timber.
Timber, Montana in the house.
Man, we have Wisconsin, Massachusetts, West Virginia, and Montana. How cool is that, man?
My boss is in Glacier this week, so he's up there in Glacier National Park and was in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and making that round up there around Yosemite and Glacier National Park. One of the most beautiful places in the world.
That's funny, man. My ex-boss is there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, where are we going now?
Joe, with the man with the golden voice is not here tonight, Mr. Guy Duplanche. I'm gonna have to stand in. But next up is main content.
Main content. Guys, this is all about elk strategy. This is where we're going to go with this. And what we're going to do is we're going to start off, first of all, just with two of the don'ts, man. And we've got some talking points that we're going to talk about here. But the two biggest strategy mistakes elk hunters make, we're going to start off right there, and we're going to tell you this is what we do not want you doing, is that the big difference between successful elk hunters and everyone else isn't really calling, it's not gear, it's not fitness. It's that average hunters either hike and hope because they really don't have a strategy and a plan other than to do that. And so many people have been, I don't know, like YouTube trained that all they're going to do is hike, bugle, hike, bugle, hike, bugle, and that's pretty much their day. Am I right? Am I wrong, fellas?
Pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely right.
I think,
and then when they hear a bugle, they just sit and bugle at it, no matter what.
They want to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
they want to produce a conversation with a wild animal.
And just remember, your purpose is not to have a conversation. Your purpose is to get yourself in a killing position, right? So
agreed. So many guys will tell you, "Oh man, this bull talking to me. We talk for like an hour." I'm like, an hour?
Yeah.
How far away was he? Oh, man, he didn't sound like he was over maybe 200-300 yards. Wow, an hour. In an hour, I could have, even my fat ass could have rolled up there and tried to kill him. You know what I mean? In an hour.
It's so easy to do, though, because we're trained to think that we're calling, so that only means, hey, come over here. And when I was learning, and still am learning, how to hunt, you start talking to them. And I've made the mistake of chasing them to bed in the morning, but once in a while I'd get him to stop. And so I'd stop because I'm waiting for him to come in. He's trying to let me catch up.
Yeah.
To go there, and I'm waiting behind him, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, and we're going to talk a lot about that, man. Or the other thing that they do, the other mistake is that they chase where elk used to be. When they hear that bugle, they go and hunt that spot, and they'll set up in that spot, or they'll expect to see when those elk have already moved off. Now, a lot of this is time, day, everything dependent like that, but that's probably the biggest mistakes, that hiking and hoping and then chasing elk where they used to be. And the great hunters, they're constantly asking themselves two questions. They are, especially if they get a response, and if they don't get a response, and we're going to talk about silent elk, and then we're going to talk about when you're getting a response, but they're asking themselves two questions. What is the elk's current plan? Whether they hear elk or whether they're trying to hunt silent elk, they are determining what their current plan is. And then where are the elk headed next? Not where they're at right now. Where are they going to be next? Because that's where you want to be. If you start getting in the jet stream, what happens? That's what you're talking about, Jeremy, right?
Mm-hmm. And you might pause them for a minute, but they know where they want to go, and they're going to go.
And look, I say that in jest, about me being slow and whatnot. We have caught up to them. We have, had an opportunity where they weren't going at such a deep, steep place that Joe and I actually caught them. One of the biggest bulls Joe's ever called in for me in my life. We actually ran that bull down, right? And I mean, we humped our tails off to catch up to them because they were probably how far ahead of us, Joe? 500-600 yards?
Probably. And I think what helped us was it topped out into an open, and they were on a side where it was real, real thick. So they might have actually been thinking about staying where they were at there.
Bedded down up there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
could have been. That's maybe what slowed them up.
And that's the other thing, man. You look at where they're at, and you tell yourself, well, where are they wanting to be? With the terrain that you have, and with the tools we have, technology-wise, But I mean, it's so much easier to look at possibilities of where they want to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that I think there's some important points to bring out about elk so that people understand. And what would you say are some of those points that we need to bring out so that it gets in the mindset of our listeners?
I think you got to know what the scenario is. Is it the time of day? I think plays into it. The time of year, obviously. One of the important things for scouting, if you get a chance, even if it's just e-scouting, is if it is the morning, where can you conclude that they're going to bed? If it's the evening, they're going to be in a transition from bed to probably at some point going to water at that point. But the first thing is, what time of the day is it? What time of the year is it? What cycle of the rut is it?
So why are you asking yourself about what time of day? And you mentioned a word, and that word comes up every daggum time, and it's transition.
Yeah, where elk are always transitioning. They're always in some type of transition.
They're either transitioning to a bed, or they're transitioning to their day bed, or they're transitioning to their food and their night bed, right?
They have a plan.
The speed of that transition changes.
Yeah, absolutely, because their priorities are always changing, right? Depending on what the wind is, the weather is, their rut cycle is. I mean, it's because they're always changing. It's very unpredictable, especially during the rut.
That's we bring that up with Jeremy, because we take a look at the ranch last year, right? And we take a look at that LaGrulla area over there, and an area that he struggled to find elk in September. What happened in October?
Loaded.
Right?
Everything was there.
Loaded.
Yeah, because their priorities change, right?
Yeah, and where he struggled finding them in October, they were loaded in there in November.
Right.
One thing that I think everybody's going to get from this is that you have to be ready to adapt and change at all times, right? And we're going to talk about those different processes. And here's the thing about understanding an elk's plan. And we kind of talked about that when we went back in our other episode and when we talked about the elk system, right? When we talked about that, if you understand their plan for that day, what you want to do is insert yourself into that plan or manipulate it to your advantage. And how can you manipulate an elk's plan?
Intersect it.
You can intersect it. Absolutely, man. You can do that.
It's noise.
Yeah, and for me, it's always going to be with calls.
Calls, yeah, no doubt.
Right.
Calling elk. I mean, that's how we intersect it. And that's how we change their plan.
Or at least manipulate it so that, they might be wanting to go from their bed to the feed.
Yeah.
But I can actually get them to come a little bit off the way they might just by pulling them in. They still get to finish their plan, but they're going to come into me, right?
I harken back to Luis and I, our first day on the mountain. We had RC Knox with us. Such a cool opportunity to have RC with us he actually hunted with us morning and evening. And in the evening, we went up to an area where I absolutely love, one of my most favorite places to hunt on the whole ranch. And we stopped the buggy, got out, made a little sachet through there and went up a little ridge top. And I made one cow call, and dude, it was like, brr. We're like, oh my God, this thing's fixing to go off like mad right here. So we all got set up thinking the bull's coming. And I mean, they weren't very far away, and they shut right up, man. They didn't say another word. And Luis and I are like, well, we've done this before, and we were really up against a barrier that we couldn't go chase them to, right? So we needed to stay within where we needed to call them to us. We couldn't go close because there's other circumstances that we needed to make sure that we're shooting our bows. So, I mean, we can't let them cross that barrier. So at the end of the day, we pulled out of there knowing that those bulls were there. And Luis and I hunted those bulls for 3 or 4 days and had extremely awesome encounters with all of those bulls. And Guy and Joe were wanting to come up there as well. And Luis and I said, well, we understand this area really well, but there's another area that mimics this quite a bit. And we decided to pull out of there and just go down to that other area. And it was the same thing. They're all on the sides of them ridges, and they're using those ridges to run up and down and try to find cows, and it was everywhere we went. We just felt like all we needed to do was get whether the wind beat us or we were really too persistent in hunting too fast. I mean, we ended up understanding that we were hunting too fast, huh, Luis?
Absolutely, we did. Matter of fact, I think that what finally made it successful towards the end, it was a combination of two things. We understanding the topography, and it was actually kind of some e-scouting that we did the night before and identifying an area that we felt that it just kind of met all the requirements for an afternoon hunt. And then two, as we were getting to that point, we were able to see them before even starting to call. And the calling was simply used by you to calm them down as we were putting the Mohican sneak on them.
Right. Yeah, because they knew we were up there. They just didn't know what we were.
Yeah.
But to get them calmed down to where we could maneuver enough to get a shot. And look, we were helped by some adolescent bulls. I mean, they weren't super savvy. So, but at the end of the day, they all
right.
wanted to. Yeah. We don't discriminate, So, but we still had to make it happen and use our calls to calm them down. But it was all of the stuff that led into that, understanding the attitude and why those bulls were doing what they were doing. And man, they were just a step ahead of us, or we were just a step too fast at various times, or we could have, it'd been real easy for us to double up and kill nice bulls, man. It just wasn't in the cards for us to make it happen, but we had lots of encounters,
So
what I mean?
what you're talking, I want to take like y'all's example, because
Yeah.
you guys went in there and you ended up seeing elk, right, in there. And this is one thing that, when people are in that position, their head is spinning. What should I do? What should I do? What should I do? Right? And basically, the first thing that I want our listeners to understand, I want to simplify their decision making, because I know all three of those go through your head right there.
Yeah.
So when you're elk hunting, we base it on three decisions to choose from, because everything else is just overthinking it. You
That's
got
right.
three basic decisions, and what are they?
Call.
You can call. Why would
Right.
you call? And you did it to settle them down, right?
Yeah, but to create the encounter,
Right, to create the
what you got.
encounter.
Yeah.
What else?
You can wait, maybe you need the wind to switch or settle. Maybe you just need them to lay down and close their eyes for a minute.
Yeah.
Or wait on them to make a mistake.
Wait on them to make a mistake, right? Or
You can move.
yep,
Exactly.
yep.
You got to determine where they're at, and again, kind of using those clues. And sometimes the best option is to just shut up and get closer, get to where they're going to be if you're going to cut them off, or get to them.
I gotta say, the move part is probably the most powerful part, right? We get too locked up where we want to stay there and bring them to us, and they've already told us they ain't coming, right? If they don't crack them branches and let you know it's time to go rolling at you the first time, they're probably not gonna. So you need to decide when, right? Whether I got the wind with the topography and everything, and move on in, right? Keep pushing. Joe and I have blown up more opportunities because we were aggressive with our feet and aggressive even with a crosswind. We've blown up more opportunities because we were aggressive. But had we not done anything, that bull would have walked out of our life.
It wouldn't have been an opportunity. So, and really, we didn't blow up the opportunity. We put ourselves, giving ourselves a chance, right?
Yeah. We did, and he just outsmarted it. Yeah. He just, either the wind changed on us or the bull outsmarted us or whatever it is. But guys, again, I harken back to this. What we're doing is extremely difficult, right? And people want to say it's not, but you're going in there and trying to kill a critter that lives every day with everything trying to kill it, so it's extremely difficult. And using these three things of understanding where to call, when to wait, when to move, is crucial for you to have opportunities to either be successful or not.
So I know you and Luis. Go ahead, Luis.
I was just going to say there's a fourth thing you can do, Joe.
What's that?
Well, you can take a dump. Usually, when I take a dump in the mountains, an opportunity presents itself. Man, there's just like you can't like it actually happens.
Brother. Yeah, ask RC for our last year in Colorado. He's like, we shut it down, everything. I'm getting, I gotta go to the bathroom, dude. Bulls everywhere around it, a whole herd of elk coming through, and I'm like, Knox, what are you doing?
Well, I mean, I don't know if you recall, Big O, but I went to take a dump, and that's when you actually saw these elk in that big pasture.
I did.
I was like, I heard something, and I thought it was you bugling. So when I was done, I was trying to look for you, and then I see you like all squared up with your bow like that, because I was gonna go in quietly and try to scare you.
Right.
And Big O was all squared up, like looking at the field, and I'm like, oh my God, he's on elk. So
back. He was gonna come try to mess with me, and I'm like, I ain't waiting on him. These bulls are coming. I already got them coming to me, so I'm cutting the distance and getting in there, getting ready to go, man.
Yeah, and all we had to do is I had to go take a dump.
We have, and honestly, we've talked about this before, but we got to preface it by saying what the technique was at the time before this happens. And basically, this is when we have silent elk and we're doing a scenario, and we're actually working through the transition areas or those upper thirds that they're coming to, and we're actually working through doing cow talk as we're doing it. And a lot of times you're doing that, and even though you think you're not moving too fast, you're still, if you don't hear a response, you're moving. And when you stop and just to stay there for a little bit, you actually give the elk a chance to catch up, right?
And then you hear better, you listen.
Oh man.
Yeah. Because you're not walking, right?
No doubt.
I don't think you're hearing anything when you're taking a double loop. There's a lot of noise coming from that section, man.
But
he's shooting a tutorial. What he is doing is shooting a tutorial on how to do it on a sloped surface. That's got to make the podcast,
man. Too much. You guys are too much. But I know that you and Luis, when you guys got to that position where you guys saw the elk, those are the three things that are going through your head. You're going, well, do I call him, bring him to me? Or am I just going to wait and watch him here for a second? Or do I need to move? Those are the three things. Those are the three decisions that everything's based on.
Absolutely.
And you just tell yourself, when do you call? If it's going to create an encounter so that you can kill that animal, or is it going to make the situation worse? Are you in tight where they should see an animal where it's clear and you call, and then it's blown up, right? Do you wait, so that you can actually see what they're doing, let them make the mistake? Or do you move, just like Randy said, to put yourself in a better position to be able to get that animal? Not where they are, but where they're going to, right?
Mm-hmm. We get in love with calling a lot, and sometimes it's just better to sneak on in there and put one in him, because as soon as you say something and you're in an area where they've got space, in the tight, it's not as bad, but when they got space, they get really weary quick. You know what I mean? But when they're in tight, they're really more curious, and they're going to come look around a lot more. But if they got space, they get real weary quick, wary, I would say, not weary, but.
So let's talk about strategies now to help these folks out. All right. Now that they have those three things, and guys, we're telling you, simplify your decision making. Don't overthink it, when you're doing that. So what we're going to do first is most people, when they talk about elk strategies, and this is where I think sometimes, I think a lot of times people mess up. And I think it's costing more and more people every year, because it's happening even in the prime rut, is that they end up with silent elk. And if they don't get bugles, and we're going to talk about if you hear sounds and stuff, but if you have silent elk, you have to have a strategy for that, all right? And understand, and we always say this, elk can respond by sound or by movement. They can tell you where they're at, or they can start moving towards you using their feet. That's a response. Okay. So
They might go over there and rake a bush too. You might hear that. You know, them
100%.
tearing a tree up, and that those faint kicks of a rock or a log, or you hear him rubbing on a tree. I mean, those are literal signs that you got his attention, and now he's aggravated. You know, and just mimic it. Go right back to running a tree again, and you know those kinds of things. Little low guttural huffs. Even you take your tube and.
How many times have they done this and people are like, they don't know that that's an elk?
Oh yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah. Hey, Joe and I one time had some bulls talking to us, and they shut all the way up, and we got in there tight on them. Had the wind really good. They got in there tight. We got in there super tight on them, and the bull goes sound like a monkey. I mean, I looked at Joe and I went, "What in the world was that?" I mean, just like that. He goes, "Oh, dude," he goes, "he's really close." He goes, "He's trying to find us." And we're both with videos going whole 9 yards. And this nice 7x7 walks out and just won't give us a shot. He's about 80 yards from us in the brush. But yeah, I mean, they want to find you, but if you don't give them the time to find you, you're going to walk right into them, and then they're going to blow up, you know? So
our key when we're hunting silent elk, man, is we figure out where the transitions are,
yeah.
right? And that transition is going to change throughout the day. It can even change because of pressure. It can change from the rut. But what phase of the day, and this is what, Randy, what you were talking about, man. So in the morning, they're doing what?
They're going from their feeding area to their bedding area.
So you can hunt up close to the bedding areas, right? Or you can hunt in between those bedding areas where they're going to cross through. I think the reason I like to be a little bit lower earlier in the transition, I don't want to be down in the feed area, but I want to be a little bit, not all the way up at the bedding, is because I've seen elk that will, different groups and different elk will use the same transition and end up in different bedding areas, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think you start where they're at also, because they're not always, the sun comes up and they're on their feet running. Sometimes you get 10, 15, 20 minutes right there at the beginning where you can still call them in.
Yeah, absolutely. Even more if it's an overcast day. Even more when it's, dreary, overcast, maybe a little drizzly, they'll tend to stay down, and linger longer because the sun's not beating down on them.
And depending on what the competition, what's happening around them, and how much chaos is happening. Chaos with the cows. If there's a lot of chaos with the cows, that's going to keep the bulls down there, right? Yeah. If the cows end up balling up or grouping up and heading up into the trees, it's pretty much over. That's just getting ready to happen, right? So at midday, what's happening at midday?
Bedded down.
They're bedded down, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Might get up and go get them a drink of water midday, something close by to their bedding area.
Midday can be very effective if you know what you're dealing with.
Sure can.
we're going to come to that midday strategy, so you hold on to that. And then the evening, what's happening in the evening, guys?
Going to feed up. Yeah, start to kind of wander around before they break the tree line, but they're moving a little bit.
Yep.
So Jeremy, that's the thing that, all right, have you ever followed elk going to bed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have you ever hit elk after they've gotten out of the bed in an area? So in the morning, from when they start hitting those trees to getting to that bed, how hard is it to stay with them?
Incredibly.
Yeah. What about when they get up and then they start moving towards their feet? How hard is it then?
You have all the time in the world.
Basically, they move a lot slower in that transition, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that's something for people to realize, because they are actually going to stage before they hit the open areas, man. They're really going to check it before they get into it. So then they can just barrel out of there. Once it gets to a certain point in time, man, sometimes just like, whoom, they'll just barrel.
They're like a big herd of buffalo. Here they come.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
But when there's pressure, they don't have to be in a rush to get down there, right? They have all night to eat versus in the morning, they're trying not to get cooked when the sun comes up. In the
Yeah.
evening, if they don't feel safe, they don't have to come out till dark, and you might have to catch them a lot closer to the bedding area.
Yeah. There's a key thing though, dude, that if I find it between any of the transition points, I think I got gold. And that's if I find any kind of waters or wallows that are in thick
Spring,
areas,
natural
trees,
spring.
and not really exposed in there that are between that they can hit on the way, you know.
Yep.
So that can be a really good thing to have. And understand that the rut can be happening at any time of the day. They can be following cows. They'll leave their bedded cows. They'll start responding emotionally. They'll start advertising. All of these things happen. But y'all,
At all times.
if you know what their pattern is from bed to feed or feed to bed, and you think you have it and some pressure happens, it can change everything.
For sure. Yeah.
So,
how many elk we have come on us late in that late morning, Joe, that just stampeded for 5 minutes in front of us.
Yeah.
Evidently pressure or something got to them, and here they come, and they were all moving at a very high rate of speed, right? And they were getting out of there, and it was incredible. I'd never seen anything like it. Just a whole herd. It looked like I was in the movie. What's that movie with Kevin Costner, Dances with Wolves, and the daggum buffaloes come through? Holy smokes, dude! It was just like that. But it must have been Tatanka. Yeah, it must have been Wapiti, and here they come, man. How many head do you think was in that herd, Joe?
oh man,
Couple hundred?
yeah, it was a huge herd.
God dang. And it just kept coming. Literally, the dust was so thick. It's like, oh my gosh, But and I don't believe they smelled us. They were just going to a destination,
And we don't know what hit them on the back end, right?
Yeah.
Cause it to move like that.
Could have been a bear or a cougar, or who knows,
Luis, let's think about our technique early season that we use when we do have silent elk. What are we doing? What technique do we use as we're moving through those transitions in different areas?
We sent silent ground tube calls.
Silent grunt.
Can you demonstrate?
Yeah.
So one of the things that that I personally like to do is so we start with small cow calls, and as we're walking, but then as we progress, we kind of give it time, and we start kind of increasing the volume, kind of expanding the radius of that where we want that call to go. But I personally like to go relatively slow as I'm calling, because it makes it a lot better and easier to listen. And then I like to stop every so often for at least a couple of minutes just to listen, And then the reason for that is because, sometimes we get so caught up into calling so much that we may not, since they're silent, we may not be listening to the woods as they may be coming in silent. And
especially if we're moving.
How do you use the rest of your senses, man? Or do you?
Yeah, man. Nose, ears, eyes, absolutely. Just think about that. Think about that bull we called in, you and I, just using calf calls last year, and we were going really slow. I felt like
he came into us silent, completely.
I mean, about run both he and I over, and we looked at each other like, oh my, what was that? How did that happen?
Yeah. How did that bull get so close to us? And we were going.
We didn't see him, because when we popped out around that little bush, dude, he was looking right at. The goober was looking right at us, man. 5x5 looking right at us, and I'm like, Oh,
Why
when
do
he
you think
blew
he
up,
let you get that close, bro? How did you get that close to him? Why?
because he knew that he heard that there was an elk out there, right, or a couple of them, but he couldn't smell us, right? He
Right.
didn't smell us.
So
So
what sold it? What sold it besides just the elk call itself?
the type of elk call we were using.
Okay.
Well, and I think
Sound of your
he's listening to the calls and listening to us walk through the
There you
woods. I
go.
mean,
Like an
there's some
elk. Like an elk.
so it's just like, and we're going relatively slow. So I mean, you kind of hear the sound, and then you hear the steps, and then you hear, every once in a while you kind of go over a branch, and it just kind of
Sells
paints
it.
the whole mental picture, for them.
Absolutely. That's a scenario.
Till Luis farted, we were in good shape, man. But once he did that,
That's what called it, man.
yeah.
You got to. There's a different place the diaphragm goes, Luis.
Yeah, exactly. Joe, you use his diaphragm, man.
Yeah,
what
I
are you
was gonna
talking
say-
about?
And
I was
now,
gonna say,
I'm
it's like,
really
yeah,
wondering,
you
man.
wouldn't
Now,
wanna be-
now I'm like, if that's where he's been putting his diaphragms,
No more.
I
No
need some
more
penicillin
diaphragm.
shots, man.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
We got the palate plate. I don't know what we're calling that one.
Yeah, yeah.
oh man, it turns.
I bet
Never
that's
mind.
what we learned, Joe, is even though we thought we were going really slow, we needed to slow down even further, especially when we used the little calf calls. And I think they're really effective. I think the little calf call is really effective early season on quiet elk.
Yeah.
I think even more than the big cow
And
or even
raking.
an estrus.
Raking is the
Yeah,
same thing.
absolutely.
Like
Yeah,
later on, I
100%.
don't. Randy, have you guys and Jeremy, have you guys found that out too? That raking's not as effective later in the season as it is earlier in the season, or maybe I should say it's more effective earlier in the season.
Me personally, I haven't seen a difference in the time of the season. It's almost just the scenario that you're in, to me, that it makes a difference or doesn't make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't noticed late season, early season at all. I would think early season would actually be better, but that's just based on the factors. Some of the bulls are, getting there. If you're really early in the season, they're sowing their oats, and so it's a natural sound. They're out there rubbing those trees and marking the trees and doing those things. Where later on they're herded up, and it may be one bull to 5 cows, and everybody's got a
Demonstrating at
cow,
that
and you don't
time.
need to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Luis, on our first day with RC Knox that first morning, you and I took a nap. Well, we didn't take a nap. We took a little siesta just to eat a little bit and drink something. But if you remember when I stood up, what did I do to get a bull to bugle? And I was just messing around, really. But I never made a cow call, never made a calf call. But I made this one call, and this bull blows up underneath us. What was it? Do you remember?
I don't think
No,
he does, man.
I don't.
You just look like you asked him a test question in high school.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah. I'm just trying to remember, but I can't remember.
uh-huh.
I just huffed
Ooh.
through my tube, and the bull blows up right below us.
Yeah,
I didn't do anything other than through the tube.
And I don't think you guys could hear that. He doesn't have, for some
Oh,
reason.
I don't
he
have my
changed
mic
the sound.
set. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Luis call, the silent tube
Yeah.
bugle.
Yeah.
whatever.
yeah, yeah. There you go. Yeah, exactly. See, Randy's on top of his game right there.
Just a huff, just like that.
Just a huff, man. I mean,
Yep.
I don't have.
But Joe, one thing that because we were talking about the pace and the speed, and then the pauses,
Mhm.
and man, I think there is a big, yeah, we can hear it now.
Yeah.
But I think there's something about also knowing where you are and understanding the woods, as far as like where you start seeing signs, when you start seeing elk country, when
100%.
you kind of
Smell
start
something.
feeling you kind of start feeling like, whoa, we're kind of getting into elk territory here, and so it's just something that kind of tells you is like, maybe this is the time where you really start slowing down and opening your eyes, and you kind of feel it. I mean,
Yeah.
and I think it just comes
Agreed.
it comes with You know, the amount of times I've been in y'all sixes just learning from y'all, and then
get on some ridges, dude, and it is just so elky. You just know you can pop one in anywhere in there, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and you said you see the trails, you can see the fresh tracks, you can see droppings, you get a chance to smell some urine. You know, when you're like that, you had better be taking that pace down, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So we've talked about silent. Now, what I want to do is talk about if you can hear or see the elk, man. And so we're going to cover, when we told you we're going to cover morning strategy, then we'll talk about midday, and we're going to talk about evening. And so first up, the morning strategy, and what we want to tell people there is, you know, on that, and I don't know why it says hunt the direction. It's not hunting the direction. You're hunting the behavior, not the bugle, right? You're hunting the process, what the elk want to be doing. Don't be hunting bugles. If you just start hunting bugles, you're going to be frustrated and think there's no elk in the country.
And I think what you mean by hunting the direction is like if you know that the path and the direction that they're going to or going to be.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
That's probably what you meant.
Where they're going and not where they're at, right? So don't be hunting where you hear them, hunt where they're going to. If it's in the morning, like, you know, Randy said, they're going from, you know, and it's not early, they're not staying down in the bottom, and they start to hit and go up. You got to figure which direction are they going? Where am I going to do? So morning, y'all, is your best chance to locate elk. Morning and at night. Morning at night, your best time. But it's also where hunters make their biggest mistakes. Okay? You've got elk that are, like we've said, they're leaving feed areas, they're going to bedding cover, and they're going to respond during the rut. They're going to be silent when, you know, why does a bull sound off 150 yards away and then he quits talking, but then you end up seeing them on top of you at some point? Why do they do that? Why do they sound off at 100, 150 yards and then come in silent? Why do you think?
He's trying to get a response from you, probably. In a perfect world, he wants you to come to him, whether you're a cow or a bull or whatever. He wants you to come to him. And if you're not, then he's got to try to figure you out. But he's probably silent because I'm assuming at this point you were using bull sounds. Mm-hmm. And now he's silent because he doesn't know what you are, who you are, and he wants to come see you.
100%, man. You know, he's checking out the competition before he commits. So yeah, he's locating and he's having that conversation. But when he closes, he's going to close, check it, and determine whether or not he has a chance.
But maybe the 150 yards is not a really good example because he could just be bugling away from you, but he's actually closer to you than you think he is.
Sure. But what I'm saying
when
is,
he turns around,
there's so many times I've had elk that are bugling at 40, at 300, 200, 100, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they shut up, right?
Yeah.
And what do? We get nervous and we're like, did he send me? Did he?
He's waiting. He's waiting for you to make a move, and then I locate you.
Or coming in silent.
Yeah.
Right.
You really know, and this is where understanding the language makes a big difference. Because if he's chuckling at you, he's ready for you to make a move, right? He's inviting you to come closer, inviting you to come in, and when you don't, he knows something's up, man.
Right.
You know, so when you hear that first chuckle, you better start. Hopefully, you can get in where you can move towards him because that's what he's wanting.
Yeah.
You know?
And in the morning, those elk are using thermals to stay safe too. So, you know, they're using the predominant wind and they're using the thermals. So once that wind, they're going to want to head up that hill while the wind is the thermals are still falling. So that they can get up there by the time they reversed out, and then they have them in their favor, right? So understand that in the morning, the opportunity isn't simply finding elk. It's understanding where they're headed before they disappear into their security, y'all. Okay?
Yeah, it's active scouting. It's active trying to figure things out as we go, right? Because every time we go out, we learn something, maybe a different dichotomy of how they're going to operate. You know what I mean? So it's really putting the pieces of the puzzle together. Sometimes it takes days. Sometimes it really takes days to try to connect the dots. You know, because they're very different creature to try and figure out. It's really cool to be able to, have a place where they're frequenting more often than not, because then you can get in and out of them. But the big thing is, like, we have bedrooms. We don't want to go mess the bedroom up the first day of the hunt. You know what I mean? So we'll chase them up to that, and then better put the brakes on. We better not go in there.
Yeah, because you have other opportunities, man.
Definitely,
right? Yeah, there's other strategies.
Heck, I've had coming down from the bedding area. I've had opportunities that were late coming. You know what I mean? So, at the end they hear the commotion up there, and they're coming and inspecting. They come from a different region. So, I mean, there's so many opportunities. You just gotta hunt slow early in the season, man.
Yeah. So, when that first bugle sounds, and we're partners, Jeremy, and now you know how aggressive I am, right? And I hear that first bugle. Now, if that bugle's at a distance, I always tell people to cut the distance. But when I do that, I assume that they're going to do the things that are already spinning in my head, right? What is wrong with a lot of people when they hear a bugle and just running straight at that bugle?
Well, I mean, a few things. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got you,
All right.
brother.
Yeah, my computer's lagging. I mean, I've seen a lot of guys not check the wind and then not look at the terrain and think, they hear Joe say he's 800 yards that way. They're not thinking, how is the land laid out, and where within that pocket is this bull actually, and how can I get closer to him? They're just like straight at him. But you might have a windrow or a little gully that you can use to sneak in there, or the wind might be swirling around the knob that's between you and that bull, and you gotta be thinking about those things too. It's not always just a straight line. Sometimes it is. Sometimes you just gotta run, but not always.
No, absolutely. That's wind is your first consideration, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, how many times have we been on a bull, Joe, and the wind wasn't right, and can't go. Okay, we gotta abort the plan. We know where he's at, right? Until the wind gets right, we just can't make it happen. I mean, you're gonna either go in there and blow him out and never be able to hunt him again, or you're gonna leave him right where he's at, know where he's at, and then be able to wait on the wind.
So I'm gonna throw a caveat into that, because there's a lot of times when you're going, man, that bull's, he's a good 250 yards, 300 yards away. And then the wind is like, oh, it's off your back. Oh, now it's off the side of your face. Oh, now it's coming in your face, right? We've all had those days.
Oh my gosh.
Right? It's just here, here, like that. And so a lot of guys end up going like, I can't go, right? And I'll just tell you this, man, when I got winds that are swirling like that at distance, now when I get up to an elk at 50, 30, that might be a different thing. But I can cover them 300 yards and not worry about that wind.
Yeah.
I try to know where my predominant is going to come from, because a lot of times when it's swirling like that, it'll set back to the predominant, right? So when I'm doing that, I'm more worried about where the predominant wind is coming from than the swirls. So I will try to just get on that side, use the predominant, let it do the swirling, because even though it's doing that with me, by the time that wind, it's not going to get to that elk. It's going to be blown out of there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
a lot of times those elk are on those benches though, and when they are, they're set up because the wind's that way.
Oh, that's in in the afternoon. They got the thermals going up to them, right? I'm talking early morning right now.
Yeah,
We're
for
doing
sure.
the morning approach, right?
Yeah.
So
Another caveat that I've seen a lot to that too is, don't just think about what the wind is doing now. Think about what it's going to be doing in half an hour when you do get closer.
Yep.
I see people get trapped by that all the time. Thermals are coming down. All right, I'm going up at the bull. Well, the thermals are about to switch, and you're about to get under him, and he's about to lay down in his bed, and now you're going to blow him. So you got to think what's going to happen. That's why we always talk about get on his level if you can. That way, if the thermals do switch up, you're still safe.
So I'm going to, instead of doing that, instead of just going in because there's so many things that are going wrong, that can go wrong, I'm going to talk about a better morning approach. I'm going to throw these stages out, and I'm going to throw these ideas, and you guys talk about the ones that you think are important or explain the ones that need to be explained. But another one is like you said, Jeremy, where they didn't look at the land on that they can just end up blowing them out because they just don't understand the terrain and what it's doing, right?
Yeah.
That's basically what you were saying. So let's talk about stage one. You hear that bugle, stage one. Listen first. Before charging in, identify this. And then I'm going to ask you guys how you identify this. How many elk? Are they moving? Is it one bull or multiple? Are cows talking? Is the bull close or distant? And that's where you were talking about, Luis, he could be bugling in one direction or the other one, right? That's something that you got to realize.
Yep.
Is he fired up or just locating? Because a single lazy bugle does not mean sprint, right? You know, but a bull cutting you off or glunking or chuckling or answering repeatedly is a different situation. Definitely. So that's stage one. So how can I tell, like, is there a way to tell how many elk? What's your, how do you do that? Where do you get your assumptions from?
If there's two bulls that are going back and forth, you can reasonably assume that there's probably a cow and estrus, and that's why they're hitting each other up. There's a herd bull and at least one satellite that's in there driving him crazy.
So that rule is multiple bulls bugling, probably a hot
in close proximity. Yeah.
Okay. Or Joe, one bull bugles back at you. He bugles back at you, and you cow call again. This next time he roundups, and you can hear him further away, right? And you keep hearing him going away from you. Now you know he's got cows with him,
right? Yeah, and then he has cows with him.
Yeah,
if you've got a bull that is coming 400, 300, 200, that's a single bull.
Definitely.
If you got a bull responding and staying, he most likely has a cow or cows, right?
And if he roundup bugles, he's moving them, right? So the cow's actually moving out, and he's rounding them up.
Time of the year narrows down your possibilities as well, I would think. Early season, you would assume that they're not herded up yet.
So some of them, the small bulls, can have one or two cows, and they're the ones that are hard to get in. You actually, in the early season, you're better off calling the cow into than you are the bull, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah, on that.
I think it's important to note too, when you're talking about, the bull's behavior and identifying them, what kind of call were you using? If you just threw a cow call out and you've got a bull that is just on top of that bugling, you're in a good shape.
Absolutely.
At that point, he's probably by himself, and he's coming.
That's fish on right there, right? That's the easiest bull to kill right there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're gonna get an opportunity here. We're gonna get a sighting for sure. Yeah.
Yep. And you said like the close distant thing. Sometimes you got to be careful, but here's the way that I like to do is the further away they are from us, the more musical it becomes. It becomes eerie, like an eerie sound. The closer they get to you, the more airy, the more, you
can hear all that gravel.
Yeah, you don't hear as much in there. So.
That's another thing is what, Joe, you talked about a lazy bugle versus something that's got tone, that's got texture in it. He's agitated with you, and you can tell the difference. Yeah, got some agitation. When they get that tone instead of that, that's location, right? When they get that, you can hear it in that guttural growl that they have, and almost like a growler type bull. That's different.
So fired up or locating. How do you, Jeremy, tell the difference between a bull that's fired up and a bull that's just locating?
Locating, I mean, it's just like we try to call too. If it's just kind of high pitched and long, is typically what I'm listening for. And if I'm hearing him respond to anything, if it's just totally out of the blue in the morning, kind of quiet, I hear one way off in the distance, he's probably just wanting to see who's out there. But if I'm seeing him talk back and forth, they're talking to each other and getting a little bit fired up.
It's the emotion in your voice.
Randy,
Yeah.
when you,
Yeah,
when
you
you
can
hear
just-
the emotion, how do you decipher emotion in a bugle?
Are you asking me? I missed that.
Yeah, you, Randy.
I think you can tell the emotion, there's an intensity. Like if you were to yell, you can feel it in your throat. You can almost, when you're hearing an elk bugle, you can feel that. You can hear it in their throat when they're mad. They're screaming at you.
Yeah.
You can
Feel
hear
it
it
in your
and
chest.
even if you're new, like you're going to hear a bugle and you're like, oh, awesome. And you're going to try to figure it out. But if you hear a location bugle and then you hear that same bull with emotion and intensity pissed off, you're going to know the difference. You can feel it.
Yeah.
So what kind of emotion, emotional?
No.
Nope.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just nice, relaxed. But when you hear something like that, and generally it's going to be
Angry.
shorter, okay?
Yeah.
And they might even follow it, man. They might follow it with some grunts, chuckles, or something like just agitation and emotion. It's just like your parents yelling at you or just talking to you, right?
It's kind of like locators. It sounds like, oh, he's just singing to me.
Yeah.
But then if you hear that and you're like, oh, if I tried to do that, that would kill my throat. Then he's getting a little
Right.
bit worked up. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. So that's listening and what you're trying to determine. Why are you trying to determine that? Because if it's a bunch of elk together, and it's in the morning and in a transition, they're going someplace. If they're moving, you want to identify that stuff, right? If that bull is close or whether he's distant, and if he's fired up or just locating. If he's fired up and he's close, something is getting ready to happen, So, these are things that you want to think about. If it's just a lazy bugle, that bull is just like, I'm not up for it. I'm just letting you know I'm over here. Or
Right.
a lot of times you don't get that lazy bugle, you get this. And that's it,
Yeah.
right? Just get those
Yeah.
little chuckles. So
We get that little cow wop, man. I mean, whoa, like that, dude. You will be surprised how many bulls would just lose their mind doing that,
can you do that on your tube?
Yeah, I can do it. It's
Because
like
this was very effective a couple of years ago where we were at. That was it.
that's it, dude. It's like, man, dude, it was crazy.
Yeah. So stage 2, you've tried to identify as stage 1. Stage 2. Now look, when we're saying this and it's taken us a long time to talk about this doesn't take a long time to register in the head, man. It's happening just like that. So it's not like we're burning daylight. Well, I don't know. Do you think that is cows talking? Is he close or distant? Or we're not doing that. So
Well,
stage
sometimes
2.
when you're confused, you can text Joe from the side of the mountain, wait for a response. But
Yeah. Yo, I've done that. I'm like, dude, I got 40 cows and 7 bulls up on the side of this ridge, 800 yards away. What do you think, Joe? I mean, I got to pull them across a fence, right? What do you think I ought to do? You think I ought to say a word? I mean, at the end of the day, I can't call to the bulls, but I can call to the cows.
So what are our choices?
Yeah. We can sit there and watch them feed up there and do nothing and, enjoy the view, or we can throw a daggum Hail Mary and see what happens.
You got
Call,
3
move.
decisions, right?
Call,
Yeah.
move, or
Call,
wait.
move, or wait.
Call, move, or wait. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to break it down to one of those. Okay, stage 2. Determine travel direction and ask yourself, are they climbing? Are they dropping? Are they coming to me? Are they side hilling? Are they heading to timber? Are they moving towards north-facing cover? Are they heading away from pressure? Those are things that you want to ask yourself, right? One of my favorites out of all of that is if they're side hilling. Especially if I'm already in an area where I've got wind, I've got a bull that's side hilling that's below me, side hilling up to where I am, to where the calls are. I will absolutely throw calls not towards him, but ahead and off the other side of the ridge as much as I can, because they'll side hill and then they'll just come across up in front of me to go look on the other side, and I'll end up with that broadside shot. It's one of my favorite moves like that, so well, and then once you determine that, understand that that matters more than the original bugle location. You're not hunting the sound, you're hunting the route, okay? That's where that call, wait, or move comes in. And that's where Randy says, you're going to move to where they're going. And once you figure out what that route is, you want to make sure that you're moving towards that route. And one thing that we think about when we move on a route is stop and scan locations, especially in terrain and vegetation. Where is that bull going to where they're going to hit a stop and scan and be in my effective shooting range, right?
Yep.
Anything to add on stage 2 from the things that I put there?
Just that it's so dynamic, and each scenario is different. And you may get to a point where you've got a herd of elk going to bed, and depending on what time of the day it is, you just know you can't get to them, or it's not a good situation to get to them. And maybe the better choice is actually to just let them get there, leave them alone, and then make your plan for the next couple hours.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Yep. Yeah,
Been there, done that many days.
Absolutely, man. So
what I learned with one of our hunters last year too is to figure out what you're hunting and watch the whole herd too, because we were watching a big herd out in the middle of a very open spot, and I saw a few bulls peel off, and we decided we were going to go after those, and we stopped watching the main herd. We didn't take the time to get all the information that we could. And the rest of the herd did something totally different, and the rest of the herd had the bull that we wanted. And Gil and I talked about that one quite a bit afterwards. But
yeah,
if you have the time to get more information, that's going to help you take it.
So what tells you if you have the time or not?
They had 600 yards between them and the nearest tree line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, you don't have a lot of choices there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think one of the things that I'm alluding to is when you see elk spread out in the morning in the opening, you got a lot more time than when you see them all of a sudden all together, right? Or you see that lead cow that's looking over on the edge and then starts heading into the trees, and the rest of them start picking their head up. They're going to move slowly into the trees, but they're going to start going into the trees. That's going to happen there. Okay, so stage 1 is listen. Stage 2, so that you can identify. Stage 2, determine travel.
Yep.
And then stage 3. Stage 3 is get ahead, not behind. Look, and this is exactly what you were talking about before, Jeremy, how most hunters, they want to chase elk from the back. And what's wrong with that, man? You mentioned one thing. What's going to happen as they start going up? What's going to happen to the thermals?
Yeah, they're going to switch and come right up behind you.
Yep.
Yeah, and look, these critters can smell you from over a half mile to a mile away. Being in the woods a little bit different because there's a lot more smells and bends in there and stuff like that. But in open areas, I mean, and the wild thing about elk and all ungulates is they actually have the ability to smell in a parts per like trillion atmosphere, where they can tell whether it's really intense, like you're close by, or whether it's been a long time ago. And if it's been a long time ago, like 2-3 days, that's not near as alarming as the heavy scent that they get when it's right up.
So I have a hard time with that, man, because I've had elk follow me when I'm calling, and I'm like, they've got to be hitting my friggin' scent. You know what
they ain't never put their nose down to hit it, probably.
I mean, I had one bull, man, that every time I would call, that booger would just be 80 yards behind me. I'd stop and set up, and he'd stay 80 yards. I'd call, I'd move, and he would move up with me. The strategy was just to leave somebody back and just keep moving up and let him come to him, but I've had that happen on different occasions. I've actually gone through a park and had elk walk across that park, and and never do any. And am I the only one seeing this?
No,
Is
and
that
I think again their nose closer to the ground really makes a big difference when their head's above. I've seen deer do it too. I've walked through an area where I gotten in my stand, a deer walked by it, and they never pick their head up, right? They never even check up on crossing my trail. But as soon as they bend their head down to eat some corn or something and they hit it, boom, it's like you hit them in the face with a crappy mop, right? Same thing with pigs. Pigs are real low to the ground. You're not, I'll guarantee you, it could be 8 hours ago you crossed there where a pig comes through and it'll hit that scent like that because it's so close to the ground. And an elk's nose isn't that close to the ground. But when they're feeding or when they're walking along and they're moving their nose and they'll pick it up a lot quicker. But when their head's above, they don't. Same with deer. And
it always seems to me that elk are never trying to pick up low scents. I always see elk when they're trying to pick up a scent raising their nose.
Absolutely. And they'll even lick, their nose to try to make some space for that olfactory system to work,
Ole what?
Olfactory. That's where they make a lot of olas.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Incredible. I don't know that I know of a better nose other than, bears maybe. I mean,
they're
deer,
low to the ground, right?
Elephant's phenomenal nose. So,
but you think of the food sources, right? Bears and hogs, they're finding those things down in the ground and everything like that, right? So I think it's a little different. So you do not, in the morning, you do not want to hunt from behind. You want to either get ahead and actually you want to get ahead. So the better moves is to get on the downwind parallel and try to get up. If you've got cows going up and a bull staying back, the biggest mistake guys make is they end up thinking, oh, that bull's talking to me, and they set up and he's going to come in. Look, y'all, if they're going up the hill, you are not turning that bull, man. It is not going to happen. So you need to get on the parallel on the downwind side, and you need to move. If you hear that bull, forget him. Move up to get up as far up with the cows as you can. You can use
but be listening, because if that bull's got satellites, sometimes you will call them in while you're silent. So the scenario is a part of that deal too.
Yes, you can. Absolutely. Yep. And even more so if you're up on the side of them, right?
Yeah.
And that's really what you're trying to do. I've noticed that, when I try to stay off of them in the parallel, as we're going up, the mountain gets smaller at the top. Mm-hmm. And it seems like I start seeing elk moving through the woods. And it also seems that my movement on the side does not bother them like moving in the front or behind. Mm-hmm. It's almost like there's other elk moving up the hill. Mm-hmm. So I've gotten away with a lot of movement when I've been on the side. And when I do that, now I have a great ability to try to pull the cows closer to me or try to move in as they're going up and get a position on that bull. Right?
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah, because I feel like I've seen the same thing. Another risk of chasing them is like they are watching their back trail and they're watching where they're going. But other than that, they're kind of spaced out a little bit.
Yeah, it seems like elk, again, and I did a thing on this, right? It seems like elk see things forward because they're still. They're in that, but things on the side of them, I know they see like 240 degrees, right? Yeah. But when they're moving, things on the side of them are moving faster than things in front of them. It's like when you're driving in a car, right? Mm-hmm. So that little bit of movement there, and plus they have other animals around them, they start to disregard that, right? So that.
Yeah, no, I've found it easier once you're inside the herd to move around than it is from the outside, mm-hmm. Because they're expecting other things moving, especially if you're sounding like an elk,
You get in amongst them?
Oh, man.
And, I mean, if there's a lot of cover, jack pines and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
I had a hunter with me one time, and we were walking, and I'm like, come on. And we can see elk legs around us. We just got done watching a bull, and there's a lot of pine. It's really thick stuff. We just got done seeing a bull mount a cow. Would have loved to have shot that booger. It didn't work out. It would have been. Yeah. So, and we're going through, and he's like, aren't they going to see our legs moving? And I'm like, man, they don't know our legs from the rest of the elk legs in here. Yeah, it's just movement, right?
Yeah.
So, The other better move is cut the angle. Try to predict where they're headed and get there before them. You know, and I mean, if there is a known, and you can find funnels, you can find pinches, you can find areas, you see where the bedding is, you kind of know where they're heading like that. If you have to drop over another ridge to get up past them, do it if you know where they're going, and then start working back towards them, right?
Yep.
Just coming from the downwind side. So, any comments on that anymore?
The only thing I would say is, tools like Onyx have really changed the game when you're trying to determine where they're at or even where they're going. It helps a lot to take just a couple seconds and pull the map out and look to see what's ahead. And you can make a really good game plan with that. That's the only thing I would add.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love using the rangefinder compass tool every time I hear a bugle, because then after a couple, you can start to draw a really clear line of where they're going.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so critical, Jeremy, because I used to, with my compass, get a bearing. You know, I would get a bearing and lock that in, and just so I knew, because when you're going through the woods, you got to move because of the terrain over here around these rocks, around these trees, and you can end up going way off in the wrong direction from where that animal is. So looking on your Onyx and figuring, okay, I think he's about 200 yards, and looking at the terrain where he most likely is, and then putting a point, and then be able to travel to that, and then looking at, okay, where is he probably going to? Then you can actually learn to go off of where that was to where he could be, so you could cut him off. All right. You know, it's a great tool. So the next strategy, I almost don't even want to talk about, because I think this is the time when people always ask me, like, when's the best time to hunt elk in highly pressured woods? And I say at the times when they're not pressured. Early morning, we're out there an hour before dark.
Midday,
when everybody else has mentally checked out and gone back to camp, you know. And in the evening, a lot of people, an hour before it gets dark, will start heading back to the truck. They're not out there in that time. So I think those are the best times. But I'm guiding a hunter, honest to gosh, I'm guiding a hunter, and he looks at his watch and he goes, time to go back to the camp. And I was like, what do you mean time to go back to the camp? He said it's 11 o'clock. They stopped bugling at 11 o'clock. And I'm like, you know, I've been hunting these guys for years, and I ain't seen one with a watch yet. You know?
Exactly.
And it wasn't 15 minutes later, we were working into an area and a bull sounds off. And they were still moving to bed. They just happened, I don't know if they got bumped by somebody else, but they were just now moving to bed.
I've heard them bugle all day,
yeah,
man. You know.
Yeah, those elk on the river, Jeremy.
And be in an area where they're bedded a little bit, but they're up fighting. They're up, you know, moving cows around, and the rut's kicking. And I mean, they're just up blasting all day.
Well, if you know where they went to bed, it can be a good time to sneak in on them. Like the bull I got last year,
Absolutely.
I shot him at 2 p.m. and he was bedded watching the main trail through a window in the trees.
Yeah.
But he was comfy and he wasn't really paying attention. He wasn't looking above behind him. He knew where danger was, and he settled in.
Have you ever seen him fall asleep? I've walked up on a bull that had his head down, man, just like, and then he'd bring it up every now and then, but he would just like fall asleep in his bed there.
I tell you what, you don't want to walk up on asleep, brother.
A bear?
And that's Mr. Big Old Black Bear, dude. I walked in on a giant black bear asleep in a dadgum oak thicket, dude. Dude, the hair on the back of my neck stood up, dude. When you're in the presence of something that can eat you and might, that is a different, and I mean, I'm 6 feet from him. You know, I'm like, oh my God. And you know, I could hear my eardrum, my heartbeat in my eardrum. I was so nervous. And I'm like, don't snap a twig. Don't snap anything, dude. I backed out of there, and sure enough, man, that bear rose up out of there and tore out of there like somebody had hit him in the ass with a bass fiddle. I'm so glad he went away from me and not to me, man. Oh my God. Oh, that's not what you want to sneak up on.
I just want to say, man, if you think morning's over, I'm going to just tell you the elk disagree. So
100%.
what are they doing? Midday elk, they are bedding in security cover. They're using shade and thermals. Now, this is going to help you to know. But my best way to know where they're at is, like Randy was saying, man, if you're staying with that herd and you put them to bed, you don't have to go in that bedding cover to do that. Now you have them where you want them, right? And there's strategies you can use. You can do a scenario. You wait for that bull to do a bed bugle or stand up and bugle, you know, because especially if it's a moonlit night and they went to bed early, he's going to get up and move around. When he does, he's going to bugle. Now you can do a little scenario and pull him to you, make sure you're on the same level as him and try to pull him to you. He will leave those cows, right? Or you hear where they're at. If they went up a certain way, they're going to basically come down pretty close to the way they went up, especially if there's any pinches or funnels, unless something happens to booger or pressure them. All right. So they're tucked into the north-facing timber. They're close, and that's not always up on a hill. It can be on the side of a mesa. It can be down in a cut. If you're hunting Arizona where you don't have a lot of varied terrain, it could just be under that other side of a juniper tree, man, just to get the shade. You know, just like that deer was doing at my house this morning.
Right? Yeah, man, he was chilling out with the shade, brother.
right by my glass sliding door. He found a shady spot, right? So they're close to escape terrain. They're less vocal, but they're not always silent. But like Jeremy said, they are very vulnerable if approached correctly. And it depends on what happens when you have a group of elk that are bedded down, Gil.
What happens when a group of elk
how do they take care of themselves, man?
Dude, they have a sentry. You know, like they have a system where one's looking this way, one's looking that way, one's looking this way, man. It is a very precise hierarchy within that herd that understands how to keep each other safe, right? And it's crazy because one will lay down and the other one will stand up, like whack-a-mole, and they're looking around and they'll bed down to where they're looking in different areas where they're looking out for each side of them, you know.
Good luck sneaking up on them. Good luck.
Man, it's hard.
But you know what's weird about that, Randy, is like I've been going through and I'm working through and it's the afternoon and I catch a group bedded, right? And basically I see like maybe 1 or 2 or 3 elk, right? And when I spot them, you kind of get that tunnel vision, you know, like you're watching that one as you're moving in on there. And I've done that. And as I'm going in, I look over and I'm like, oh, crap, man, I just walked right into the vision of another one and it didn't blow up for some reason. It was like, I know that a lot of them are chewing their cud. They might not, you know, I know they're used to elk getting up and then laying back down again. I don't know if my pace worked fine. It wasn't that I was in the wide open, but I know that there was movement and I could see the animal, you know. And it's like all of a sudden you're in amongst them like that, right? So
you're in the belly of the beast.
Yeah. Yep. So in midday, the elk aren't gone. They're just harder to find, and they are definitely easier to blow out just because of the reason. That's why they're bedded where they are. So here's what I think the common midday mistakes are. Hunters either go back to camp, or they just blindly wander around, or they just they'll get in an open area and start calling. And what's the problem? What's the problem with calling from an open area?
Because if something is close, they can see you. If they're, you know, a lot of open areas are surrounded by thickets where elk may be bedded. You can be in that open area calling, and first thing they're going to do is try to locate what's making that sound. They're going to visually try to see you.
Okay.
From the cover.
Even if they don't see you, what's the problem?
That's not normal.
They hang up. They hang up.
They're not seeing another elk, and they should, right?
Yeah, they hang up.
So when you are doing calling like that, man, you got to pick you can't be in an open area. You got to use the terrain. You got to use the vegetation to play hide and seek. So elk got to come around, over, up, and then come to a stop and scan spot that's in your effective shooting range. Okay.
Sometimes a decoy will help if you got a decoy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially in an open area.
Yep. And sometimes they'll just sit in the same spot hoping elk return. And really, I don't think they're hunting at that point.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it's better than being back at camp because you never know what's going to dumb on by you. But at the end of the day, we work off a different mantra that we're going to try to put ourselves in the right position.
Well, if you're tired, take a nap, right?
For sure, yeah. Spoken from the true nap master.
But when you do it, knock an arrow and keep that bow like close to you, and do not take off your shooting glove or your
release.
Yeah, especially when you take a dump.
I don't know, man.
Fact.
Unless you're a lefty, that might be. I don't want my release all in that.
Ooh, yeah, I'll have to take my release off and do
that. So here's your midday options. First one, shadow the herd. What are we talking about that?
Just stay off of them. Stay off the side of them where the thermals aren't going to bust you, and you're not putting pressure on them to where they can smell you. But you want to stay on that same level. Try to stay on the same level. Maybe you got side hill and you're 200-300 yards, 400 yards away from the herd, but you can kind of keep an eye on them and you can listen for them for sure.
Yeah. Stay in that downwind side, and then ask yourself some questions, man. Where would they bed based on the wind? What's the wind doing? So where do you think they're going? Where's the closest dark timber? Or, where's the closest shade, the really good area where they can get cooled off? Where can they see or smell danger the best? And where could pressure be pushing them to, right? So, I'm very aggressive, but you don't always have to get aggressive immediately, not if they're going to bed, man. And if you can put them to bed, it's just like roosting turkeys. So that's a good thing to do. Sometimes that move is just to stay in striking distance and then just wait for that afternoon shift and then wait for that next opportunity. Okay?
Yep.
What do you do when you, Randy, when you find a bedded group? What do you do?
The first thing is try to identify what stage of the rut they're in. And so you can usually find that because you've chased them or you followed them to their bed primarily. Sometimes you can be in the middle of the day calling and you might get a bed bugle or whatever, but just try to figure out what is the scenario. And then if I have trailed them to their bed, I usually will give a couple of hours to kind of let things calm down, because they'll get to their bedding area and then they'll mill around and feed for a while. And for me, I really like the cows to bed down. That bull will bed down for a little bit. They chew their cud, they do some stuff. And at some point that bull is going to feel relaxed. And that's the best time to run your scenario. And the scenario is going to be based on whatever is happening. What's the dynamic of the herd right then? But, it could just be, another rival bull that's getting them. And it could most likely that's not going to be enough because he's got a bunch of cows around him. But you start being a bull and introducing some other cows in there and start having your own little, rut situation there, whatever it takes, whatever the scenario you determine. But that's the perfect time to run a scenario, and those bulls will get up, especially if he's just with cows and there's not necessarily one in estrus. He's going to get up and come check out either a rival bull or a cow that he presumes is in estrus because of the way a bull is reacting. Another thing is a lot of times midday, those bulls will get up and go wallow. And so that's another thing to think about. If they're not showing a lot of rut activity, a lot of estrus, and it's just a bull that hasn't really reacted much to your calls that day, but there's a wallow nearby, that's a good opportunity to go sit and hang out at that wallow. It's very common for them to get up a couple hours after they've been laying down and just by themselves go to that wallow, especially if they don't feel pressure that some other bull is going to come in and mess with their cows while they're gone.
Another good time for that wallow is after they get up out of their rise, man, because they'll actually, they might hit that on their way as they're transitioning again, right? just to cool off, and he'll even linger back. He'll let the cows go and he'll linger back and hit that wallow. So that's a great opportunity. The one thing that I just wanted to add to what you're saying is I still always, when I'm trying to pull him off the bed like that, I always go with the least. I'll start with those calf calls, right? I might, introduce a cow into that. And if I do introduce a bull, I try to use sounds that can't identify size, right? So that's where I'm using those huffs, those pants, those glunks, right? I might use a chuckle. Yep. Because that doesn't give away size. And they can't, bulls know the other bulls in the area by their voice. And if you're not giving any voice to your bull, raking, like you said, then that really raises up the curiosity of, well, what does this guy look like, man? So they can become defensive or protective at that point. That's shadowing the herd. Let's say the next midday option, still hunting the bedding cover. Now, if you're on public land, we got to be real careful on private land. We try not to booger our elk out of their bedding area. We'd rather wait for them coming out of that transition, right? But I made a living, still hunting through bedding cover, but you got to be smart about it. Why?
You want to be able to hunt them the next day.
Yeah. Yep.
Otherwise, you blow them out of the area and you got nothing to hunt.
Well, I feel like they react differently too. If you bust them in transition, they might stick around. If you bust them where they feel safe, then there's a better chance they're gone.
They may not return. Yeah. Could
Absolutely.
relocate.
Now, is there a chance another group will move into that bedding area?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it may not be during the time you're hunting.
Yep. And that's the one time that you're going to be making some noise when you're still hunting through that. I like to every now and then just make a little calf call when I'm doing it.
You and I were hunting through a bedding area one time, and you made a calf call, and a calf ran up to us. Literally ran smooth up to you. Remember that, Luis? Calf come right up to us. We could hit him in the head with a ball peen hammer.
There were two of them.
Well, yeah, there was one first, but the second one almost touched the tip of one of our broadheads.
Exactly, dude.
Oh, and it walked around us.
We
Do you have that video? I've been looking for the video.
I have it.
Can you send that to me?
No.
That is that is the coolest video, man, because you can see that. I mean, you literally see the arrow sticking out as that calf goes and walks by it.
It just so you know, I have it. I'll send it to you, but it's probably in the Dropbox folders.
Okay.
Somewhere in there.
So we've got that we can shadow the herd, we can still hunt bedding cover, or here's the other thing, man, is that you can scout for tomorrow. All right. So let's say that the herd's gone, or you have put them to bed and it's not feasible, and maybe you're going to back off that because we have long days at that time of year, right? So you're going to back off of it and come at it at a later time. Use that time. Now, either you can catch a nap, catch some food, but you can also use it to locate tomorrow morning's elk. Get out there and start looking for some fresh signs. Start looking for tracks, fresh rub lines, heavy trails. Look for those other things. Midday can become a productive scouting trip with a weapon in your hand, right?
Yeah. And you just, like you said, Joe, you never know what you're going to dumb into when you're doing it, It's a perfect time to be, if you ask me, I'm scouting always, right? Whether it's midday, early morning, late, in the evening, I'm looking for sign. I'm looking for why those elk want to be there. What's driving the elk performance to be there, right? Why they want to use this one ridge versus another ridge. I mean, all of those things, if you learn all of those things, they're powerful information to keep you in the game and keep you getting opportunities to be around them.
If you find those areas, those are areas that get used all the time. There's a reason the elk like them.
Yep.
Right? So let's talk about evening strategy. Jeremy, what's your evening strategy, man? Let's say
If
you
I
know that where
can,
the elk are bedded. What's your evening strategy on that?
being really careful with the wind because typically it's gonna get better and better the closer to dark you get. So I don't want to
Yeah.
screw it up early. But if I can, I'm gonna get in there with them. If I can't, I'm gonna try to figure out where they're gonna come out and be there when they do, while again being smart about the wind.
Remember, you're going to have a lot more time in the transition area in the evening. So we always talk about what the elk are doing. So as the temperatures cool, elk begin to get up from their bed. They start stretching and feeding in nearby areas and just rambling around. Bulls are starting to gather the cows up. They're going to start moving towards feeding areas, and then they're going to use predictable transition routes, man. You know, that if you knew how they went up, you can kind of know how they're coming down.
Down. Yeah.
And they're going to be increasingly vocal during active rut periods. Last year, Steve Henson, we had bulls that bedded up on a ridge, and as soon as they got up out of bed, boo-woo, boo-woo, you can hear them. And they're starting to move down. And here's the other thing. Not all feed areas are alike. In other words, you've got real big feed areas and you've got small little openings that naturally they can spill into, right? So they're not all built alike. And we had one that it's with a lot of cover, not a lot of open. They feel very safe in there. And he sets up inside there and you can hear the elk coming down. You can hear the bulls. And then the cows hit first, cows come out. Just waiting. That's one of those. Do I call? Do I wait? Do I move? He actually did all three things. He had told me to call, right? There was a certain point, though, that as those elk were coming down, I knew now it was time to shut up because they were coming, right?
Yeah.
You could hear they were coming. And he knew he had to move to get in better position, which he did. And he ended up with a bull and about 20 cows right in front of him at 30 yards. Really, really cool like that.
Yeah.
So they get vocal. I think the biggest mistake is expecting elk to already be in standing meadows an hour before dark. A lot of people will go and wait at the destinations instead of hunting the transitions.
Yeah, and they're going to be a lot less wary in the transition than they are going to be when they press out into that park, right? Or out into that open. They're going to take their time. I've seen them linger in them trees for an hour, man. Like just linger. I've watched them in my binoculars. I know they're coming, and they never come in the daylight. We hunted them last year rifle hunting, and I'm watching them. I mean, some good bulls too in the trees, and they're up in there just moving around with the cows, and they never come down till it got dark.
So you have a great feeding area that you know those elk come to every day.
Yep.
And you have a trail that comes to that feeding area. Which one should you be hunting?
Be hunting the trail. Yeah, off of it on the downwind side. Yeah, for sure.
Yep. Absolutely. And that's the other thing too. If they get up out of their bed and they start bugling, that doesn't, and you hear a bull up there, that doesn't mean you start challenging that bull.
Yeah.
Right? Don't start screaming. Why? If he is announcing himself and you know you can, he's coming, why are you announcing yourself? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And really no need to on that. There's sometimes you can just be.
No, you can turn him off where he'll shut up or hook his cows in a different direction, because he don't want the challenge.
You're already where he wants to be, and even if he's thinking about rut, the cows are still trying to eat, and they're still working down there.
That's right.
What's your evening plan, Randy?
Well, the one statement I wanted to make, and it's just a general statement, but in my experience, the evening hunt is more relaxed than the morning hunt for whatever reason. In other words, it's almost like they get up and they just ease into the activity, and not just in how fast they're moving, but even the communication, the bugling, and all of that stuff. Again, just in general, I feel like it's more relaxed. So I just think that's important for people to understand, because I think you have to approach it in that same kind of a way. You have to understand that there's a time to be aggressive and a time to be more thoughtful about it. And I think in the evening, in general, most of the time, you need to be more planning and more thoughtful and get yourself in the right situation and not be as aggressive. Now, obviously, if they're telling you by their vocalization that they're amped up, then sure, you can get in with that. But just an important note from my experiences, I think the evenings are less amped up in general.
I hate the evening, man. And I've killed somebody else, and I hate the evening. I hate I hate racing the sun.
The sun, yeah.
And I hate that when I pop one and it gets dark on us, it's you got to make some tough choices when you shoot an animal in the evening. Now you shoot them the way we want to shoot them, and you hear that death moan, after they've run another 30 yards and stuff. We're all good, but you put a bad hit on that animal, that is a long night. That
can be. Yep.
So go ahead.
One thing with the evening though, that I found, and that I think we saw a lot in our rifle hunts last year, unlike the morning where if you hear an elk bugling half a mile out, you're most likely not going to catch him, and your best move, like we talked about, is to figure out what they're going to do the rest of the day. You can get away with some pretty big moves in the evening, because they're likely, if you are racing the sun, they're likely almost to or where they're going to be. And you can get away with just covering as much ground as possible and trying to get in there for the last 10 minutes. They're going to have a harder time seeing you. It's loud around them because the cows are still spilling into the feeding area, and they're
now,
probably...
Are you talking rifle or bow or both?
Both.
Both, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I found that those last 15 minutes of shooting light in the rifle hunt are gold, right?
The witching hour.
But as that starts to happen with the archery, man, it's like, you have to make some choices sometimes. It's like, okay, do I keep moving in and blow this up? Or now do I back off and come back to it in the morning, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So,
Luis and I had a bull 60 something yards from me, and I just couldn't make out my pin on him. I drew back, gonna kill him, and I can't see my pin, and it just blurs all together, and it was just gotten too dark in the woods, and I'm talking about a hammer of a bull.
And that's a half hour of legal light still left, right?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. If I'm outside the woods, if I'm out in, you could, if you walk out of them woods into the opening, you could see fine. But we're in the woods and we call him in there, and Luis is below me. I call him in there. I draw back. I'm watching him. He's got like 7 or 8 cows with him. He walks right into my field of view. I even turned my pins on and drew it up. I cannot make my pin out on him. It just blurs out.
So that's the other good thing that you just reminded me about hunting the transition is when you're hunting the transition, it's getting darker inside there. Those elk, if they get past you, they're now going down into the feed area, and you can get down there, and now you have more light, right, when you get down to that point. So you get that opportunity to hunt them in the transition, and then you get that second opportunity in the feed area for the, the last bit of shooting light. The only thing is, that's where that choice comes in, because sometimes you just can't get close to them, and you got to decide, am I risking blowing them out of here, or do I just back out? So
that bull never knew I was there. I turned around when I couldn't see my pin on him. I could see him, but I couldn't see my pin on him. I'm like, well, I don't have enough light, and if I just stick around in here, sooner or later they're gonna move around enough to get my wind. So we just bailed out of there, didn't we, Luis?
Yeah, that's funny. That bull was actually in between the two of us.
Yeah,
I was down below, and he was middle of the ridge, and you were on top, and I was actually looking at the cows in the open, and looking for a bull. But there's another younger one down there. But yeah, it's crazy how you may have enough daylight left in the afternoon, and you may be setting yourself up to a situation, and how quickly it gets dark.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
It just like in no time it goes from like, gosh, I almost had a situation to where I
You
can't
close
see
that
anything.
10 yards that you need and you get there, and now it's like, nope, can't happen. Right.
Yep.
It was disheartening for me, but I enjoyed the, it might as well have been a kill because I got him to where I needed him to be for me.
Yeah.
I just couldn't. I'm not a guy who, if I don't see my pin where it needs to be, I'm not letting that arrow go. I know what that feels
Attaboy.
like.
Yep.
I know what that feels like.
Yep.
So,
Attaboy.
you know,
So we talked about, silent elk. We talked about elk that are making sound, and we talked about strategy morning,
yeah.
midday, and evening. There's one thing that I didn't throw out there, and that is not to forget the night.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, no doubt. The night blue bugling we did in Canada
Canada.
was crazy cool, man. You
Yeah.
know, that's how we located the elk.
Yep.
Yeah. Don't hunt it at night. You get in trouble.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's what we're
don't
talking
hunt at
about.
night, but we
Now,
and the aurora borealis was amazing, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
crazy.
elk feel safer at night. They're going to give away their location. They're going to bugle more. So now you can mark the location for the morning. You can ask yourself, where did they come from? Which way is the wind coming from? So that kind of
Yeah.
tells you where they might be moving towards to get there, right?
Yeah.
What will the predominant be in the morning? So which direction will they might most likely go, and what is the best approach?
Yeah. It's just data gathering
Yep.
yeah, intel gathering.
Yep.
And they
I
seem-
thought them guys were crazy, man, when they took us out night bugling. We sat out on the road and we bugled, and these elk bugle. Next morning, we called that bull in like that, dude.
Right
I
in the
mean, it
spot,
was
in that location.
in that
And-
same spot.
And talk about that's actually that reminded me of something there, Joe, when you talk about the afternoon hunt. Talk about those guys being super respectful of them woods as it gets dark. They don't like to stay in them woods when it gets dark, man.
Wolves and grizzly bears, baby.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's when they like to travel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with a place that has such short nights and such long days, God, that makes it so hard to hunt.
Yes.
Yeah, you can hunt a long time though.
Yeah.
By the time you get back, it's midnight and it's still daylight.
Yeah, I'm going to be on a podcast tomorrow with the Held Accountable guys out of Alberta on there because they want to talk about our hunt out there and the difficulties and everything that I found with that. And that's the biggest one, man, is, I like to be in the woods an hour before daylight. And they're like,
No. Look, dude, I'm going to tell you right now, when you look over and you see a pile of doo-doo that's as big as a coffee table, and you're like, what the hell is that? They're like, that's a grizzly bear. I went,
Yeah.
hey, man, a grizzly
dinosaur.
bear. No way. They were like, it's got fur and bones in it and
And then
everything.
you
I'm
see,
like,
and then you see them big paw prints the size of your friggin' fist
Head.
like that
Your
on the
head.
ground. And I was like,
Yeah.
ooh.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, we were calling some bulls in, and the wolves started opening up, howling. Bulls, shut up, left, bye, see you later. Not to come back in that area again, and I mean, there were multiple wolves. And,
Yeah.
I've been around coyotes my whole life. And I looked over there at one of the guys there with us, and he was like, you hear that, Big O? I'm like, yeah, I hear that. He said, man, we got to go. I said, what do you mean we got to go? He said, dude, they're getting closer and they will hunt us. I said, let's go, man. I said, man. And then I saw the size of their tracks, dude. Oh my God, those dogs are huge, and there's 6, 8, 10 of them. No, I'm out. Let's go.
So guys, let me ask you before we get out of here, any closing comments on the strategy, something that you guys were thinking about that you wanted to throw out there before we close out?
One thing I think we're looking at this, I think it's a great way to explain it. This is a thing that happens throughout the day. But these trends and the elk rotations can happen over a longer period than just one day. They can bounce and do this in different spots every night over a week or over 5 days. That's something I've seen a lot in Colorado. And it's really tempting to go where you saw him yesterday, not see him there, and then write it off. And okay, elk aren't here, therefore they will never be here. I'm not coming back. but that's not always the case. It might just be travel in that circle that we talk about. So
Yeah.
you can expand or contract this framework depending on what you're seeing.
Yeah. Yeah. Just because you killed a bull someplace 3 years ago, there's a good chance there are elk in the area if it's an area that elk like to be in, right? But sometimes we get an emotional connection to an area and we'll just stay in it because I killed a bull here 2
Yeah,
years ago.
we hunt the memories. I fish a lot of memories like that too. But look, I mean, there's something to be said for that. Elk
There
like to
is.
be in those areas, you know.
But if they're not there,
No, got to keep rolling.
gotta
Got
go
to keep rolling. What was crazy is, you know, where we hunted in Colorado, we went right back there, and it was like on like Donkey Kong in the
Sure
same
was.
places, you know. So it's wild. I think the three things that you hit on here, Joe, are so powerful. Are the three decision basics, right? The call, wait, or move. Those are the three things you got to do, right? It's kind of like death and taxes. It's going to happen, right? These are the three things. These are three key things that you have to understand. The calling is going to help create your encounters. The waiting is, you know, waiting for them to make a mistake, especially in the rut. They're gonna make a mistake, right? They're very prone to that. And then moving, you just got to know when to move. And when do you move? Man, when you feel it, you know.
and all three of those can happen in a dance,
Cool,
right?
man.
Yeah. Oh, in the same
In 30
setting.
seconds.
In the same setting. But I love the simplicity of just the three decisions there, because at the end of the day, man, my message would be, don't overcomplicate it, don't overthink it. Just get out there and get some exposure, and it just like eventually, after 9 years, it might start making sense like it did for me.
Yeah. Look, Joe, it's super
I'm
simple.
just slow like that.
It's super simple. It's what I like. Like Luis said, it's something simple. Yeah. I train hitters every week, and there's three things that we focus on hitting, right? And these are I don't care if you're a baseball guy or you're a softball girl. These three things will be gospel to you if you just use them to your advantage. Number one, did I swing at a strike? No, and this is if we make weak contact or no contact. Number one, did I swing at a strike? Number two, was I on time? Number three, did I hit the center of the softball? Whatever happened to make weak or no contact, fix that one thing and you'll be successful 90% of the time. Yep. These three things right here are going to be able to our listeners and everybody else who understand these basics. Like, we ought to make a daggum shirt that says call, wait, move, right? These are the three keys to being really successful at bow hunting elk.
Yeah, you might end up just using one. You might be calling and figure out that bull's going in a direction you're not going to get a shot, so you got to move, right? Or you're calling and that bull starts sounding off and you just shut up and wait. There's all these things that happen in tandem or in a dance, and they're not isolated, right? But
very dynamic.
You can ask yourself, when that happens like that, you're gathering your data. What kind of elk am I dealing with? Where those elk are going? What should I do now because of that? Well, if they're going a distance away from me, I'm not going to sit here and call. I got to move, man. I got to move. So I'm checking my wind. Where are they going to? Because I'm not moving to where they are. I got to determine where they're going to. So these are the decisions that you're making. Don't hunt where elk are when they're on the move. Hunt where they are going. Right? So these are those types of things that you got to decide. And then you might get up there and you might get above those cows, and you might be in a position where you're seeing them go through the trees. Now you just shut up, right? And then you see a bull that's coming in on the side, and you get a chance like, he's a little bit off on the other side. If I throw a cow call or a calf call back here and do that, now you can create an encounter, right? Yeah. So those are your three decisions: call, wait, move. Call, wait, move. Move, wait, call. However you want to put them, right?
Absolutely.
Yep. Good show, guys, man. I loved having y'all here.
Yeah, man. It's always so fresh to have a new perspective, too, with us as well. So, Jeremy and Randy, thank you so much. And it's been too long since we had the wild man, Luis Gonzalez, on with us for sure. I mean, he's always got a plethora of knowledge, and he's been hunting with us the last, 9 years, Luis?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, can't wait to see him in elk camp here in a few weeks.
Oh, man.
And
it's coming fast, boys.
Yeah, I can't wait to see you guys at our coaches summit. Phenomenal, man. A lot of cool things that are happening within the group, and a lot of dynamic things that are happening for sure. And we're growing, and so blessed to be part of this group, And thank you guys for coming on the podcast and sharing your wealth.
I don't know, Gil, at the coaches summit, dude, should we let them draw for a bull hunt this year?
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
I vote yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
My brother gets more and more nostalgic, and he gets more and more giving every year. Love that about Joe, for sure, man.
You got to take care of the people that take care of you, man.
Every day.
Yep.
That's a fact. Yep.
All right, Gil, close us out, brother.
You bet, man. Guys, if you like what we're doing, please subscribe, rate, and review us. You got to go to Apple Podcasts or iTunes to review us. You can check out more elk hunting content at elkbros.com. Just a reminder, if you're a listener and you would like your questions answered on the show, just send your questions to joe@elkbros.com. Also, we are outfitters in the area, have just a few hunts available left, a couple in December, huh, Joe? Yep. And a few tags left too. So, and if guys are looking for archery tags, Joe told me we found a couple more. So you guys holler at us. We got some unit-wide tags that are probably still available. So, or at least somebody we can turn you on to get them. Is that right, Joe?
Yeah. There's another fellow that we know with that, man. A great guy. So don't think that all is lost. We still got some help out there for you. So, like we say here in the Lone Star State, husbands kiss your wives, wives kiss your husbands. Hug your babies, keep your broads head sharp and your powder dry. And we'll see you next week right here on Blue Collar Elk Hunting. Peace. Thanks, guys, man. Hey, y'all. See you around the campfire next time.
Absolutely.
Where others fear is home to me. No boundaries for my soul. The pounding, the primal blood, driving hunger like no other, running through my veins. No man versus nature, only me versus me. A centuries old challenge, raging deep inside my soul. No anger, malice or evil, only a hunter and his prey. This is my life, country born and raised. When that whistle blows, I'm on the trail, pounding in my head. There's a will, there's a way, there's a way, there's a way. This is my life, I know it's my day, my life. Don't think you know me, my life, no odds will own me, my destiny, my way. Like a ghost unseen, tasting every scent, knowing with every breeze. The trail before me, the fire burning inside me. This is what we live for, honor, passion, and pain. This is my life, grinder born and raised. When that whistle blows, I'm on the trail, pounding in my head. There's a will, there's a way, there's a way, there's a way. This is my life, I know it's my day, my life. Don't think you know me, my life, no odds will own me, my destiny, my way. This is my life, runner born and raised. When that whistle blows, I'm on the trail, pounding in my head. There's a will, there's a way, there's a way, there's a way. This is my life, I know it's my day, my life. Don't think you know me, my life, no odds will own me, my destiny.